Hi everyone, my name's Chris Power, Chairman of the Audiovisual Cultural Forum, and welcome to one of our episodic sort of series, the Chairman Chats. And it gives me great pleasure today to introduce you to Nevil Bounds, who is Vertical Marketing Manager of Biamp Europe. So how are you, Nev?
Yeah, very well, thanks, Chris. Thank you very much
Is
indeed
that if I
for inviting
call
me.
you Nev for
And
the purposes of
it
this
is
call?
absolutely yes, please do, and it's an
Because it
absolute
seems
pleasure to be with you today.
it seems very formal to call you Neville Bounds.
No, that's great. No problem at all, Chris.
Right. So um, it's great to have the benefit of speaking to someone who's got a broad experience of audio visual. And in particular, I suppose, for the people who don't really know um, what Biamp are doing, because we've got a lot of members who are in museums and galleries and attractions, and not all of them by any means, and some people may well have dealt with you in the past, but could you just give us a little outline of what Biamp and Biamp Europe, and it's a global organization, and could you just give us sort of a capsule review of what it's about basically?
Yeah, by all means, Chris. Well, Biamp's been going in its current form since about 1976, and we've been in the professional audio business for all of that time. A lot of our solutions are in the meeting room environments, but we also find that our products get used in the leisure and entertainment industries as well, whether it's digital signal processors, amplifiers, loudspeakers, public address systems, sound masking, software, that kind of thing. So we find ourselves operating across a wide range of vertical markets. But as you say, we're worldwide. We've got over 615 employees around the world. I
Wow.
work for the European operation. Yeah, it's a busy time, that's for sure.
I can work busy and a very interesting time for reasons that are obvious to everybody in the world. Um, so you've gone to this stage where you are the vertical marketing manager by Europe. Can you tell us a little bit about you personally and where you started and how this is you've grown to be in this sort of position? Obviously, someone of great experience.
Old is the word you're looking for, Chris. I
I
don't
would, I
mind
would,
that.
I wouldn't dream of saying that. No, not at all.
Well, I suppose it all started when I was at school, running the sound and lighting crew in our theatre. That's my one of my major passions is live events in the theatre environment.
Yeah.
But I left school with very few qualifications actually at 16, when you could leave at 16, and I really didn't know what to do. And just up the road from me in Boreham Wood in Hertfordshire was a place called ATV Studios, and ATV was responsible for a lot of light entertainment and documentary shows, but they also made the Muppet Show from ATV as well. And one day I went up there and they asked would I like to sit in with the sound crew for a day, which I did. And then they offered me a position a couple of weeks later. So I ended up spending the next year of my life working in the sound crew there, which was immensely rewarding. And working in the broadcast environment again, it was very, you learnt a lot. It was a lot of on the job learning, I would say. um,
Yes.
and then from that I left a year later and then started working for a small integrator in Watford. And then as I went on through my career I ended up working for other integrators and other manufacturers as well. So I've been very fortunate that I've had a really nice degree of width of experience in different areas, both in the UK and doing the jobs internationally as well, which has been absolutely fascinating. So yeah, I'm very pleased to be at Biamp. Actually, I have to say they're a fantastic bunch of people to work with, and my only regret is that we can't get together properly at the moment. So we've
I
had
know,
to
I know. This
use
is this
mediums
is
such as this to do it.
it's because it's certainly I found with my small experience with the forum is that the personal relationships and the informality of meeting people at an event, well, like all big events in our industry, it's it's a bit like an artist saying, well, it's what you leave out that is important. But when you can just say, oh, you might want to meet Nev over here from Biamp, and that's where the real work gets done, isn't it? For sort of, making your case and what you're doing. It's the
Yeah.
personal relationships.
Certainly, it's the last 5 minutes of the meeting.
It is, yeah.
When you when someone says, "Oh, Nev, can I just introduce you to the head of IT or the head of facilities management?" On your
Exactly.
way out, and you exchange business cards, and that leads to new stuff, new meetings, new opportunities. There's no doubt about it that the last 15, 16 months have been immensely challenging. I think the first few months were a bit of a novelty in many respects, and we quite liked some of that because it was a change to our normal way of working. But a lot of us in the company soon got fed up of not having the personal, the face-to-face contact, the face-to-face meetings,
Yeah.
and it's just shown actually how important that is. That those soft skills, as you say, the informality of it all, not having to wind the meeting up at exactly 2 o'clock, for example, as we kind of have to do on Teams and Zoom because we've got another meeting. Whereas if we were in a more informal meeting environment with our customer and they wanted to talk for another 15 minutes longer, that would be fine. And we would be slightly late for our next meeting, possibly. But I think that the last 15, 16 months has taught us a lot about how we are going to go back to the office when people do, and in what proportion as well. So many people have said to me, Nev, we're not even going back until September now, whereas others have said, right, June is the month where we're going back, we're going to get people back part-time and then further into the summer. So lots of companies, lots of organisations are doing things in different ways, and this is why we need to be flexible and adaptable with the solutions that we have.
I think certainly that's, I mean, I kind of look at almost, it's been a big sea change on so many levels. And I kind of almost have thought now as this has progressed, 2021 is kind of, I'm hoping beyond hope, and I'm cautiously optimistic that it's a year of transition back to a a model that is, it's never going to be the old model of working, but you know, human society and everything, we've got to start moving forward just for the sheer, I mean, we just have to, because as you say, even from the one-to-one encounters to society in general, we crave mostly to meet other people. And there's probably going to be a quite a relief for people to be doing certain things and starting that way of life up again. It'll be like a big ship that's sort of righting itself, but there's we've had a big sort of change on the sea change, you know, everybody has.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the most shocking thing from my point of view, during the first 2 or 3 months of the pandemic in 2020, just a casual look at LinkedIn shows how many casualties there were in the industry, in the AV industry, but specifically in the live events and production industry. It was absolutely devastating. And of course, that side of the business just really hasn't come back for a lot of people. Of course, there's hybrid working and studio-based events and that kind of thing. But if you think about the number of people in the industry and the number of freelancers that rely heavily on that sector, which has just overnight not happened. Now, a lot of the work that we do is in the fixed installation side of things. And I have to say that, you know, we have not been affected as much by this because we've managed to retain all 615 people during across the entire company during the period of the pandemic, which has been fantastic. From the point of view of the management team at Biamp, they've done a really, really good job. But I really feel for those sole trader type people, that the people that have just not had any work at all in the last 13, 14 months because of it. So I'm glad to see that people are now looking at new ways of doing events as well. The sort of thing that we're doing here today, where people have set up with more professional systems and that kind of stuff. But as you say, this is not going to return to normality overnight. And 2021, although we all hoped it was going to be all fixed and okay, it's actually turning into a transitional year for what's going to be happening next year, hopefully.
Yes. I mean, I joked with you in a previous chat that if you were walking down a high street at the moment and you wanted to put on a live gig, if you just sort of stopped some Deliveroo people or drivers or people that are kind of, you'd find quite a lot of people from our industry that could help you put something on. You know, it wouldn't be, you'd have to stop the traffic, of course, but it is at that level, really, isn't it? Because I know all around people have not been able to continue their jobs in many sectors, not just ours, and that's having a huge knock-on effect to everything. And it sounds as though Biamp has really been on top of this, or you saw that this was coming. Obviously, you would have been planning for that, but I think at the very beginning, everybody was taken a bit by surprise, although there are other things going on.
I think it would be very easy, wouldn't it, to look back and rewind the tape and look at things that, you know, one could have done better and that kind of thing. But we've been very fortunate at Biamp, very strong leadership team, and this has meant that we've been in a good financial position throughout the whole period, really. And of course, a lot of our customers that we couldn't even see, you know, we've been doing all this business remotely, exactly as you and I are talking at the moment.
Yeah.
So again, a massive lack of face-to-face communications. But, you know, nonetheless, we're in a pretty good shape. And I think that it's all about the people that you work with as well, the teams of people. And that's what I used to like about live events and broadcasts when I was involved with those, that the team of people that you worked with is absolutely key. And if you could take that team of people and use them at different venues or different gigs, it was fantastic. And this is what I'm finding at Biamp, that the team of people I'm working with are absolutely fantastic. And that is really important because we're all in the same boat. You know, we're all got travel restrictions placed upon us, so we're all resorting to this sort of means of communication for getting through our day. You know?
Well, it's like at the forum. I mean, I'm lucky enough to be small enough to be able to just sort of cope with this kind of change because I do some sort of other bits and pieces along the way. I haven't become a Deliveroo driver, although it's been tempting sometimes. But, you know, we have like a kind of a rolling sort of loose confederation. I call it a community, but it really is because almost everybody there is about like between, you know, it's around 200-ish. It floats around that. And I kind of know everybody individually. So it almost is like getting in touch with someone again. And I can get in touch with them on WhatsApp or something and say, what are you doing now? What are you doing this? And a lot of people, I noticed in the beginning, especially, a lot of people, I just got an automatic answer saying, I'm on furlough. Staggering amount of people. And slowly that's changing. That's coming off. So, yeah, it's the green shoots, as they're always saying, that kind of thing.
And the name of the game really for us during this pandemic period was literally phoning people up and not being sort of heavy with them or on the sales side of things at all. Just phoning people up for a chat to see how they were coping. And now that's sort of moved into a new area now where I can actually get to see a few people. And even those people that I've seen that said, Nev, we haven't got any business for you today, but it's just so nice to see somebody and have a chat and a cup of coffee. And everybody's really missed that, I think.
I know it's heartening in a way, but you can talk to people and they get back, and that's in a sense what it's all about. I mean, with the forum, I mean, I've always said to people when I've been trying to get sponsorship or anything else to help us move along, is like we're not really a kind of organization which is a hard sell type thing. However, just the persistence and occasionally the little things that do come, and that's mostly been in a live environment. But even now, you can do things even by email saying, this person at this company might be able to help out with something like an installation here or something within the museum sector. But of course, it's the thing about our sector, the museums and galleries and attractions, is mostly it's like not. Mostly it's kind of a public institution driven thing. And so they're very careful about budgets. I mean, where do you see the balance between the sort of privately funded sort of projects and publicly funded? How is that kind of, does that come into your area at all? Or have you got well-established clients for Biamp that you always work with?
Well, we do have a large number of integrators around the world that specialize in installing and selling our products, for example. And of course, we see that being sold into the private sector, the public sector, all over the place. But of course, it's all about budgets. It's all about tendering for these things. So we've always got to make sure that we're in the right place at the right time. But as you've just pointed out, not being able to get hold of people because you've been getting the out of office reply saying I'm on furlough for the next month or whatever it is, that has been really challenging. And of course, now we're having to learn new relationships because some of those people that we were talking to 6 or 8 months ago are no longer there. They've not just been furloughed, they've actually been made redundant. So we're having to learn how to interface with new people that we've not even met yet. And some of these people that I was talking to, you know, they've been with their end user type companies, the corporate companies, for 15, 20 years. And so this is a big blow to them. And therefore I'm having to work, in fact, we're all having to work very hard to find out who the new person is and who we should be dealing with. So that goes right across the public and private sectors, because both sectors have been badly affected with this from the point of view of staff retention, I would say.
Yes, you find out certain people at the beginning of this crisis and at the end, I've noticed, say, well, I used to work for X and now I'm working for these people. And you're going, what is this, like a big game of musical chairs? Musical chairs with a survival factor, no doubt, but it's interesting. And I feel very much for the people who haven't been able to, especially the businesses in the commercial world, who it was just the wrong place at the wrong time for them to kind of, you know, I'm staggered by the effect that it's had. And of course, that is reflected elsewhere in our world. So I think I should say, just as a little aside to the people who are watching this, the questions are live on my laptop. That's why I look down occasionally to see if anybody's got a probing question. So if you've got something you want to ask, please do, within reason, of course. Let's keep it clean, so to speak. Please go ahead. And so, Nevil, what I wanted to ask you was, I mean, this is a question that I've always thought, because I'm a bit of a film buff and I'm interested in film, and it seems to me your background in doing live events, this age-old sort of kind of juxtaposition of sound and vision, you'd thought that sound is very important in some ways, even if it's a basic level, because that intelligibility going through, and I know Biamp have invested a lot in doing different solutions for this kind of thing. Is there anything you sort of wanted to, I mean, I feel like a novice just asking someone who, you know, am I using the right microphone? Stuff like that.
Well, this is not a sales pitch, so I'm not going to go into that particularly. But I mean, the fact is that all microphone technology, where we are today, I mean, has come on a very long way, especially in the meeting room environments and that kind of thing. But the worst thing still has been room acoustics for a lot of people. I think this has been massively challenging and so under specified at the end of the day. And I've been on a number of forums where I've been banging the drum, and finally we're seeing a number of customers now realizing the importance of room acoustics, because it just solves so much of the problem. It means that you can use the microphone correctly. It means that the poor digital signal processor isn't doing its nut trying to deal with reverberation time and reflections and this kind of thing. So again, choosing the right gear for the job is important, but also the environment that you're using it in. It doesn't matter whether it's a 4,000 seater stadium or the smallest meeting room. You know, using the right bit of gear for the right job is important. But again, acoustics from a sound point of view, because let's face it, if your Zoom call, you know, broke up, but you could still hear the person, that would be something. Yes. So that's. But if you have just got video with no sound, well, that doesn't work at all, does it?
I think I said before, it's like if I watch a scary film, which I'm not particularly enamored with, if I just turn off the sound, it doesn't affect me at all, because it's such an important part of the picture, and if it's not there. I've got a questions come in from, actually, this is from Jacobs Massey, who are in fact have set this up for me, and they're one of AVCF sponsors. So the question is, how has Brexit impacted on Biamp's UK business? And maybe you can expand that to Europe, or because actually that was all, they are our neighbours still. How is that
Well,
kind
of
of,
course, I suppose in the one sense, we all knew it was coming. We've known it's been coming since 2016. But of
yeah,
course, how it was going to play out was not clear fully until the back end of, well, last year, really, I
mm,
suppose. I mean,
mm,
we've got a very good supply chain system, both in the
yeah,
US and in the European regions and in other parts of the world. Um, I think that there's been more challenges, certainly with paperwork. I think the logistics companies, the likes of UPS, DHL, and FedEx, all these people, I think they've had a lot of new work to do, a lot of new paperwork to complete, and we've had to do some of that as well. But because we knew it was coming,
yes,
we were able to gear up for that in advance. And yeah, I think it would be fair to say that there have been shipping delays caused by all sorts of reasons. But at the moment, I'm pretty happy that we're in a good position and that we've been able to overcome some of those challenges. But yeah, we've needed more people to do it, and we needed to complete more forms in order to make things happen. But I suppose it was no different in a sense from when we first joined back in 1973. So, you know, or
yeah,
76 when we eventually became full members, I think. So,
yeah.
yeah, it was, but we've been used to, of course, very little paperwork and being able to get stuff within 24 hours from France or Belgium, you know, and that has changed, definitely.
I've got a couple of questions from some people I certainly know, and you will know as well. Kevin asks, will you be at ISE London? And what is the opinion of the show in the local COVID restrictions sort of form? Where are we at the
Yeah,
moment?
it's a very good question. Well, Biamp are going to be there. We're going to have a small booth with some staff. I don't know who's going to be there yet. That's not yet been decided. But we are supporting the show from that point of view. I think also it must have been massively challenging for the organisers of ISC. There's no two ways about it. But I think everybody is probably in the mood now for some kind of event, whether it becomes, you know, half hybrid and half in person. But I think it's important to get people there now because from the reasons I was saying earlier on. And if you actually think about a normal ISE in a normal year, the last one that we did, you know, we're all absolutely worn out at the end of it. But the value that you get from it in terms of talking to people,
Yes,
especially if you've got a project in mind, that kind of thing, this is stuff you can't really do on the phone or by
I
email or
know,
by Zoom, you know,
I
that
know.
that in-person stuff. So I'm very keen to be going to it. And I think
Yes.
that's important that as many people that feel they can go do end up going, definitely.
Yeah, no, I feel that I'll go along, and it may be sacrilege, but I mean, I enjoyed very much going to Amsterdam, and I love Amsterdam before I had anything to do with AV, but it almost struck me from a kind of one of the minnows that was going round, not for businesses. It almost seemed too big to me because you couldn't, I mean, you had to be, if you went there for a reason to do something, you just had to pick that reason. And so I'll be very interested in seeing something slightly scaled down at the new IC down in Battersea, because literally it basically is a chance to see old friends. You know, that'll be the first real test. And we're in London, some of us, you know, and I hope there will be. I'm interested, you know.
Yeah, I agree, Chris, and I think that the whole business, certainly in the 43, 44 years I've been in it,
Yeah,
it's always been about networking. It's always been about discussion, and as you said, the informality of it as well. Yeah, the products and solutions, of course, are part of it. That's what we do.
yeah,
But you've got nothing without the networking and the people interface. And I think that the
yeah,
Battersea event will be one of the first opportunities that we've all had to do that. And a lot of people, when ISC was just 3 days, were going, oh, it's not enough, we need to run it for 4 days. So they ran it for 4 days, and then so many people didn't show for the whole 4 days, and they were going
yeah,
back on the third
yeah.
day. So the poor organisers, they can't win really.
Yeah, I know it's you've almost got to. I can imagine it's a hugely difficult task. I wouldn't even know where to start. It's like doing something really big. Um, I got something here, a question from one of your one of your friends of mine, Adam Harvey. You know him well. He
I
says,
do.
"I'm not sure my wife would be happy with a room with those acoustic tiles in the back. I think I should. This is your studio space that we're talking about."
Yes, it is. Yeah, and although I did have this before the pandemic because I use it for other things at home, but yes, it is my room, and I've even got an on-air light which I switch on and off, and she knows that if that on-air light is on, coming into the room may be a mistake. So
Yeah. I mean, and another question here before I move on, because I know you've put together a few slides, which we'll get to, because I think we should show those. But Kevin Murphy said that many manufacturers are selling now to institutions, museums, and under the umbrella of a sponsorship and cutting out the role or any margin of the integrator. I could name a few, but I do not believe Biamp is one of them. Have you got any feelings on this particular issue, Nev?
yeah, I mean, speaking entirely personally,
Yeah, yeah,
that I would say that the integrator role is absolutely key to these
yeah,
things. I think uh, giving a museum or a visitor centre product is one thing, but actually it's the integrator that integrates it literally and makes it all work. And there is real value in that. Obviously, the manufacturer makes the product in the first place, but
yeah.
this is nothing, no product these days. You plug in and it all works and it's great. It needs
No,
configuration, it
no.
needs setup, and in some cases quite a lot of setup as well. So
Yeah, no, no.
I
It's
think the role of the AV integrator, especially in that leisure and entertainment sector, is just as valid as it always has been. And
yeah,
I think that I think there's always going to be that sponsorship thing that goes on with manufacturers. It's not something that Biamp does because we
no,
always work with the integrators.
yeah,
But I can see why some people might want to do that.
yeah,
But that I don't know whether that buys you market share or whether that just, I mean, it's a quick way
yeah,
of shifting a lot of boxes, but I'm not sure it adds a lot of value to the industry particularly.
yeah. I mean, I think well, the thing is, that every case is slightly different, which is what makes it so difficult to do. But Kevin nevertheless says that he's looking forward to seeing you at ISE. He'll be there, looking to see you in the hallway. I mean, looking. I mean, I'm sure, like everybody is, of actually meeting people for real this time. And well, I'm certainly looking forward to that. And I've
Yeah.
got the invite, and I've got to just sign up. But it's confirmed at the moment. It's going ahead, so I don't
Mm,
see any reason why you wouldn't want to go there. You
yeah.
know,
No, we're all desperate to see our chums in the industry, aren't we?
yeah.
Definitely.
And if they've got a bar there, certainly that'll
Well,
be.
there you go. That's always
If I don't know
always
if
a
they're
choice.
allowed to sell anything like beer, but if they are, then I'm with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, speaking of your slide deck, as we call it in the professional world, do you have anything you want to sort of show from the Biamp that needs to sort of, would be interesting to us, especially when we're talking about the audio? You probably have your own proprietary sort of systems for doing what we're doing now. A lot of people have, but where is Biamp? What kind of things are you doing at the moment?
Yeah, we're covering quite a wide range of products actually. Some of them have been made by ourselves from scratch, and some of them have been as a result of us acquiring other companies and those staff and the R&D as well. So I was just going to give you a really quick run through of some of the products that we sell. We're probably best known for our digital signal processors, the Tessera and Devio range, and these are very scalable systems that can be used in the meeting room environments, but they also find we use them in large scale leisure and entertainment systems as well.
Yeah.
And we also work with a large number of programmers, independent programmers, that are known to us, so that we can offer worldwide programming and support of the products as well. Divided into two sections really. The larger systems tend to be used on Tessera, whereas the Devio product is part of our own ecosystem, and people use this when they're rolling out large numbers of meeting room facilities, for example. Microphones, that's always been a thing, isn't it? And of course, in the world where ideally we should have a handheld mic or a lavalier mic, that just doesn't work in the meeting room environment. So we've got a really nice range of desktop and ceiling and conference room microphones generally, that enable people to have fantastic audio, but actually in a very slimline format, and that's been really successful, especially over the last couple of years since we had our last proper ISE in 2019. I would say these have been one of the most popular products that we've been selling. One of the products that was a result of an acquisition is this, the Modena Hub. We're talking a lot with people about wireless connectivity, the ability to bring your own device to meetings and this kind of thing. And Modena was a result of an acquisition by a company called Huddle Room Technology in Italy. They are now fully part of Biamp. And we develop products with them, and we're now selling an awful lot of these products in those areas where people just want to turn up with their laptop or tablet or mobile device. Some really high-end solutions here actually, which I've been really pleased that we've been selling a lot of. Going back to the live environments, of course, audience engagement is always important with these things, whether it's from a microphone point of view or polling point of view. Well, we've actually combined this in one box where you're able to use your mobile phone as a microphone. So rather than passing around a radio mic from one person to another, you can actually use your mobile phone, either your iOS or Android device for it. You can also use the system for up to 1,000 attendees, and you can also use it online too. So it's not just within the theatre space where you might be, it's actually from external as well. Also, we can do polling on this system as well, so that the moderator is able to get polling information back from the folks that are actually speaking. Really interesting product. Again, that was a result of another acquisition a couple of years ago now. So we put all these products together. We actually have them in solution bundles now, and a lot of people will have heard about certification for Teams, Zoom, Google Meetup. We tick all of those boxes. And we've been doing a lot of work with these manufacturers to make sure that our products are properly certified for what they're using. Again, that applies more to the meeting room environments than the live and event spaces. But again, we've got a very large range of multi-channel amplifiers that are used right across the board. Again, Tessera, we use that in the meeting room environments. The commercial range and the community range can be used in the retail sectors, for example, and the high-end stadium environments. And then Vocia, which is designed as a multi-channel EN54 system for public address and voice alarm. We use a lot of that, a lot in transport hubs, airports, that kind of thing. So good range of products there. Loudspeakers, again, right across the board, from the meeting room right up to the stadium environments. Some really interesting applications actually, with things like the DeSono range, where we're able to directly connect via category cable from the amplifier directly into the speaker, and to loop through as well. Quite handy for part of the installations where you want to have long cable runs, but also where somebody else is doing the cabling, where maybe there's a electrical contractor doing the category cabling. So that's pretty good. Again, Community is a product range that we acquired a couple of years ago. Again, very large in the US, more slightly less so in Europe, but we are getting some good traction in the stadium areas, mainly with the Community product. Really good applications for that. The public address I mentioned just now, again, we use Vocia for the really high-end systems where it's life safety requirements that are needed. And also Tessera NPX, we use this for packaging solutions as well, and that interfaces directly with the Tessera products as well. This is quite a new range that came out this year. And then sound masking. This is again the result of an acquisition that we made a couple of years ago, Cambridge Sound Management in Waltham in the US. We have bought this a couple of years ago, as I said, to offer speech privacy and sound masking systems into buildings. And the thing is, with these open office spaces now that we've got, which is great for collaboration and this kind of thing, but what the problem has become is that people are now getting a lot of distractions from other people talking. So this system reduces the voice intelligibility, and when it's deployed in places like call centers and large scale buildings, you get some really effective results from it, and especially with things like pharmacies as well, which again and doctor surgeries where speech privacy is important. So again, we're doing a lot of rolling out of these systems, and this actually, especially in the US, was very much part of the building infrastructure right at the beginning. So rather than adding it on, your building already came with a sound masking system in many cases. And then finally, software. This is what we use on everything these days, of course. The ability to configure systems, the ability to look at remote monitoring systems, especially important in those big campus environments where Adam works, for example. You need to know what's going on with your product, because in the old days, you just pop downstairs and have a look. But of course, the size of the campuses these days are enormous.
Right, I can imagine.
And not just on one site, they may be over multiple sites and even internationally as well. So the ability to do remote monitoring of these systems is really important. So that's really a really quick run through of what the product range is at the moment. And we'll be showing some of that at ISE in a couple of weeks' time.
That's great. Yeah, I was thinking specifically, we had discussions amongst, because there are a lot of museums for people with special exhibitions of the sound masking and speakers and wireless connectivity, you know, because these things are sort of, in your terms, they would be temporary things that would be 3 months, 6 months, probably at the longest. And also the amount of time it takes to go. Any solutions there are always of interest to museums and attractions, and you know, getting the bleed through from everything else and not being able to hear what someone's saying to you. That's often, you know, you want to be in your own zone in a sense with some things. You need to walk into that sound zone, and people are coming up with sort of solutions for that. But as a direct application, I can see with the museums and the bigger spaces. But yeah, let's see if are there any more Biamp acquisitions to be expected in the near future, asks Kevin.
It's a very good question, and even the people that work there, including me, have got no idea. And our president and CEO Rashid Scarf has always made a point of making the announcement well, let's put it this way: no one really knows what's going to happen next. So, no doubt there are things in the pipeline which are way above my pay grade, which I'll never be able to find out about. But there's always something going on, and the acquisitions that we've made to date have been extremely valuable, actually, and very complementary to the existing range of products that we've got.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rashid's always got something up his sleeve, and we never quite know what's going to happen next. So.
Yeah.
So
It's such a kind of flexible, it's the most nimble. You've got to really be doing your thinking and have your preparation done. And let's see, there's another one from Jacobs Massey. Actually, we've seen a significant increase in the demand for permanent AV engineering staff over the past 2 or 3 months. So that's from the recruitment side of things. What are Biamp's plans for expansion in technology products and staffing as we move out of lockdown? So,
yeah, well, we've got our foot hard down at the moment, as I've said earlier, and we were able to retain all of the staff during the pandemic, and we're just going to be increasing that number, I can see, in the coming months. But also, we're helping fixed installation staffing as well. We offer a really fantastic series of online courses for all of our products where you can get certifications. So if people are, whether they're freelance or whether they're full-time staff, if they want to learn more about how to get certified for Biamp products, and that may well be useful for their employers as well. So biamp.com is the place to go to, and there's a whole section on education and certification, and we believe very much in that kind of thing. It's something that you can read the instruction manual on any product, but these courses are very well designed for online and also in person as well. So any freelance or other members of staff that are working permanently on a customer's site where there's Biamp product, always good to have a look at some of these courses, because I found them very valuable myself. I must say.
and if I get any sort of response from, which I'm sure to do, from museum people and everything, I can put them in touch with you if they've got any questions towards that. We've got a broad sort of base of different people. Everybody talks to different people, and that again comes down to this networking thing of, where everything's done, where you say, let me introduce you to this is, and that's where that's the magic glue that holds everything together.
I think so much of what we do, Chris, and so much of what you do actually, and what AVCF does, is facilitating, isn't it? It's intros, it's networking, and I think that would apply across a lot of the AV business, whether it's the corporate sector or whether it's the leisure and entertainment sector. That ability to introduce somebody to somebody else, to assist them with their project or whatever it is.
Yes.
You cannot overstate that, can you?
I know that there's so much. In fact, this is like, I hope that when we get to a position when we can be back in the real, as I call it, just face to face talking things, that you'll come along and do something. I can see that I had questions here that it's almost like we're going to have to have a part 2 somewhere, because I had some other stuff to sort of talk with you. And but it's been a great privilege to get the depth of experience that you've got, which I wanted to go into further, because there are so many things. I didn't even know how to run a projector when you were already working within AV and things like that. So,
well, yes, I think you're right. And, we all cut our teeth on, well, I cut my teeth on 16mm projectors, back in the day. And I don't remember anyone telling me how to lace one up. I think it was one of those things that it was very much trial and error. This is before the auto load machines of the Bell and Howell and those.
My world, which will date me, were slide tapes pulsed with projectors, slide projectors, and 16mm projection, and I kind of learned that on the job. So it's like, some people, it's like, it reminds me of when I said to my niece, who's 12, and I said, I said, but what about real music? I bet you don't even know who the Rolling Stones are. that dates me as well. And she said, but of course I do. They were from the olden times.
Well, yeah, doesn't that just tell you all you need to know?
Because that
But
was
of
the kind of
course,
the equivalent.
yeah.
Sorry, just to interject. That was almost like the equivalent of having an apprenticeship, but kind of more unofficial. It's just you could do that. And now, of course, the apprenticeship, which is another thing I hope to talk to different people about. There are so many different inputs and ways you can mix them. That's an AV metaphor, actually, but there's sort of it's the connections, because you'll find the most unlikely bedfellows. I've found certainly with AVCF, the most unlikely kind of people that have helped with something on a project between two different people that you just wouldn't expect to have that relationship, and that in itself has keyed further things. So yes.
Yeah, I was just going to say that the biggest problem that we've always had, certainly in the last 10 to 15 years, I would say, we always say that, where are the new people coming into the industry at whatever level? They're just,
Yes.
we just cannot attract enough people. But I would say in the last 5 or 6 years, we've seen a lot more people, thanks to people like AVCF, some of our education programs as well that we've been doing, and
Yes.
others. I think we're seeing more people coming into the business now, where they can then progress to, I don't know, project management or a technical role or a sales role, something that complements what they're already doing. And I think we're finally getting the message out there, but it's taken a long time. And this is why people like, well, older chaps like me keep getting recycled and keep appearing on things like this. But having said that, I'm
Yeah.
delighted that a lot of the people I'm talking to are in the 20 to 30 age group now as well, which has
Yes.
been brilliant. And
Yes.
I'm really pleased to
Yes.
see that we're getting some more recruitment in the industry.
Yeah. I'm going to do a small one of these, and probably use it in IAV itself at the end of July, with Jack Laidlaw at Middlesbrough College, who's actually got the the AV course there, that is the first recognised kind of course in this country, in the UK, that someone can actually go to and then move into different areas of the audiovisual business, depending on what they want to specialise in. But and I know there are lots of other schemes like this, but not quite like that. But there are other things going on. I mean, White Light is a good example. They've always had apprentices, and and there is no substitute for that kind of hands-on experience. I've always contested you can learn more in a couple of weeks by just helping someone do something, and they pick it up scarily quickly.
Yeah, that's very true, isn't it? And it's a bit like, if you think about software, it doesn't matter whether it's Final Cut Pro or Logic or Pro Tools or whatever. There's always a starting point for all of this, but there'd be no point in trying to read the instructions for that piece of software. You're far better off dragging things into the timeline and making it all work, and making
Yeah,
your own mistakes, or
yeah,
working with somebody else. And I think
yeah.
this very much applies to our business, to where we get far more, I think people get far more value from on the job training and mentoring with other people too.
Wow. I think we should draw this particular episode to a close. I'd just like to thank Nev for coming on and having a chat and having the benefit of the experience. And I hope to continue this. It's always a continuation, because you have to stop somewhere in the workflow of these things. And I would encourage people to check the previous chairman chats, and Dan Crompton was one of them. And I hope he's watching here and he can comment and feedback. And I hope some of you have benefited from this. It will be up on our website tomorrow, probably by the end of the day. And well, I'd just like to thank you, Nev, for coming along, and I hope to see you at ISE. It's probably the first time. We can just continue our chat there, and we can talk. We'll get more plans done in like 10 minutes than
Oh,
we've
always.
done in this.
Yeah.
But It's been
Well,
a
it's been an
privilege.
absolute pleasure, Chris, and thanks ever so much for inviting me on, and thanks to everybody in the chat room for all the questions as well. And I'd just really like to say that I think the idea of the chairman's chat thing is absolutely superb, and I really enjoyed your session with Dan the other month as well. That was very
Oh,
valuable. So
thank
yeah,
you. Can I quote you on that?
please do. Yeah, absolutely.
It all goes to the forward in the influencing ecosystem, my own little private ecosystem and AVCF's forums. But thank you very much. And for everybody out there, I hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll be back soon. Please register for IEV in July 29th. And the entry, not an entry, it's not a competition. Anybody's welcome, except Kevin, of course, but you know, Kevin as well. Please look out for us, and we'll be back shortly. Take care. Thank you.